Good morning guys, and welcome back to my channel. So in this video I've decided to take a different approach to art. Instead of doing the old-fashioned graphite drawings, I've decided that I wanted to try out tablet drawings. This is my 7th tablet drawing, and I'm fairly happy with it, even though I know it looks very sloppy. The way that I go about it is I try and treat it more like painting than actually sketching. If you look at my line art in the beginning, it's very sketchy. I don't have great line art. But yeah, so the method that I kind of figured out for myself was I'll do the sketching and then I'll create a couple more layers, one for being the coloring and then the other one for being the background. So I'm still getting used to the whole idea of digital art, of course, and I'm not quite confident in creating a bunch of different layers, even though I found that it's very helpful to have so many different layers. It makes things so much easier. So for those of you who are wondering, I am using Firealpaca for my art, and I like it because it's free. It's a great way to kind of get in the door for digital art, but it is very bare bones, so keep that in mind. So since this is my 7th drawing of digital art, I'm learning really quick that I don't draw the same way digitally that I would with graphite pencils, or even if I'm doing color like markers and colored pencils, I don't go about it the same way as if I'm doing it digitally. Mainly when you are using different materials like markers and colored pencils, you have to understand their methods of application, and they all kind of act differently from each other. So with digital art, I found it's more like painting, so that's the kind of the way I go about it. And you'll see that in my drawings I really abuse the airbrush tool. Like, I pretty much do 95% of this drawing with an airbrush tool. I think the only other thing that I use is the pencil, and that's only to do the sketching, which I'll admit right off the bat, it's not very good sketching. It's very sketchy. But yeah, so this drawing has taught me quite a bit about how I need to think when I am drawing. Since I am drawing a metal object, I've never been good at drawing metal. And in previous videos, I mentioned, my method of going about drawing metal. And I really tried to keep that in mind when drawing this. But in that drawing, when I think it was the Barbarian and the Wizard drawing. Yeah, it must have been that, because that Barbarian had some metal on him. And the way that I drew the metal in that drawing is roughly the same when I drew this drawing now. But I found in this drawing I really needed to emphasize the highlights, the shadows, and the color. Now, you'll notice in the coloring portion that this robot's blue. And the main reason for that isn't just because I wanted to, make them blue. It's because blue to me is a metallic color. Anytime I think of metal, there's generally blue involved. And if I use any other color, it just doesn't look right to me. I know that there's a lot of other people out there who can throw in a mishmash of colors and still get that metal feel, which, kudos, like, that's amazing in my opinion. But I'm not there yet, especially with tablet art. I'm still learning how my tablet actually works. But yeah, so you'll find in this drawing that after once I'm done the sketching and I start working on the colors, which admittedly enough, it's very bland during the coloring stage, because all it is just me going over the drawing in a light blue kind of, I don't know what you'd call it, because it's not like a sky blue, but it's relatively sky blue. I'm just kind of going over the drawing with that color, right? And then I start adding the highlights, because in my mind, that's where I really start to see that it becomes metal. And even when I start adding in the shadows, it starts looking more alive. There are certain parts where I kind of break away from the blue and I start adding in more grays, because I also feel like that's understandably metal, right? Like, if you were to look at any steel object, it's great. So, but yeah, so for the most part, like, this has really been a learning curve for me for like the past 7 drawings, because again, I'm not very good at doing this tablet stuff, and I admit that even by the end of this drawing, it looks relatively sloppy. If you stare at it, you know, you're gonna find several things that are wrong with it. But I mean, I really enjoyed drawing it. The red visor or the red light where the eyes are and on the gun, I think those turned out pretty well. I like how my brain clicked in and I should have added highlights in certain spots around, as well as shadows, and then later on at the very end of the drawing, I think I added like a red glow around the eyes. I don't know why I didn't think of it sooner, but it took me right till the very end. I found like the hardest part about this drawing was the gun itself. I don't know why the barrels, for some reason, were hard for me to understand. To get the proper highlight and shadow in there, that seemed to be the biggest issue. The receiver, I suppose, or like where the barrels connect to, like that was easy enough for me to draw, but trying to figure out the light and how it hit the barrel, that's where it kind of got me. And now that I am actually looking at the drawing, I'm starting to see that my lighting is a little bit off, but you know, it is what it is. I find I really like the transparency that I can do with the digital art, mainly because I feel like it comes to life a little bit more when it is transparent. If it's just got like the white background behind it, I don't know. To me, it just looks like, okay, it is a drawing, but once when you kind of take away the background or sort of add your own background, and you take away that white or black, whatever the default backdrop is supposed to be behind everything, right? I don't know why. I just like that a lot when it comes to doing digital art. And I'll definitely start doing more digital art if you guys want it. I am finding it hard though to think of more ideas and get motivated about certain drawings. Like with this guy, this guy's actually something else that I'm kind of gearing myself towards drawing. I recently started listening to Metallica. I think it was Spit Out the Bone, and it got me in the mood to draw robots. So, but yeah, I want to like go from drawing like a little character like this to actually drawing like a full-fledged sort of story, which I know is going to take hours upon hours. Like I said, I may have said, this guy took me like 3 hours to draw, of like solid sit down and go, no breaks. So, also sorry if like you guys are used to when you're watching drawings that they are crisper, if that is a word. But yeah, it's just the way that I kind of go about drawing. Like near the end, I can get details in and sort of bring everything to life, but in the beginning and in the middle of the drawing, everything looks so bland, and I know it's relatively hard to stay in tune with everything. For myself, I find I really start to lose sight of the drawing when I don't start adding in details at a certain point, because I can't remember what's what after a while. Thankfully, I've, you know, smartened up a little bit, and I can put the sketch over top of the colored portion, so I realize like, oh, this is what this was supposed to be, instead of it being like a big blue blob. So, but yeah, so I think I'm gonna cut her there. I gotta go to work here soon, so I can't really stay long. But yeah, I thank you guys so much for watching this video. Let me know if you guys have any suggestions for drawings and whatnot. I will do certain characters if you guys want, like, I don't know, video game characters or whatever you guys are feeling. But yeah, so hope you guys have a great day and take care.